2, we opened the season with a banger. It was back and forth, 1-3-1, team fights, picks, crazy new picks like Viego. And now we get into game 2, and it's going to be a bit of a different story. Could still be an absolute banger of a game, but it's two teams with very different expectations. Astralis versus SK Gaming.
Yep, Astralis, I mean, they finished 9th place last split. They had a couple of wins. I think they had 3 wins towards the end of the week. One of them was against Mad Lions when they were having fun, 5-man off-roll, so we won't count that one, we'll just say 2. And they did find some kind of form, whereas SK is a bit of a different boat because you have a substitute mid laner because Blue was sick, and then Treatz has role swapped the jungle, and Jesiz is coming to support, so a completely different look for SK.
Yeah, and it's very curious to see, and it's hard to kind of set expectations for this team because SK felt it was appropriate to make roster changes after just barely making playoffs and getting knocked out in the first round. And Astralis, on the opposite hand, finished 9th and opted not to make any changes whatsoever. So in the previous game, it was kind of G2 showing us what their level was, how much they'd improved over the offseason, Mad showing us how much of their MSI strength they had retained. This game is a story of two teams just trying to show us what they've got. Very new rosters, or in the case of Astralis, a roster that has struggled. And here we are, just moments away from picks and bans to see what they're going to put on the table here in game 2.
Oh, another bop. Another absolute bop, but you're completely right. It feels like every team has their own story, right? You have G2 had a long break, and now they came back swinging. They looked in form, looked absolutely great. Mad Lions, who maybe a little bit burnt out from MSI. Like Max said, he had a little bit of a different approach to scrims, taking more time as a team and not playing as much. You have SK, who kind of had issues in the jungle. Treatz has stepped in. Jesiz is coming from the coach role. Their substitute mid laner. And then Astralis, who are sticking to what was, I won't say working last split, but what they had last split to see if they can get some more success this time around. But very similar bans coming in from last game. Thresh, Renekton taken off the table.
And again, time to see what level both these teams are at. This new SK lineup, relatively young and playing with the substitute in the form of Twohoyrz in the mid lane. Maybe SK can still put up a good performance today, whereas the Astralis have been one of the few lineups not to change. They have stuck together. They have stayed together in the offseason. Let's see what they can get done. No surprise to see Gwen taken off the table. Feels like the most powerful of the two new champions to be introduced, Gwen and Viego, as Lulu now also going to hit the bench.
Yeah, last time around we saw Mad Lions take away things like the Nocturne now. Looking at Rumble, Udyr perhaps for the first picks, Varus, Ezreal, Lee Sin even, if that's up and available for Astralis. Lots of power picks open, and I think that's the cool thing about the meta. There's so many strong champions, right? There's not 6, there's not 7, there's like 10 to 15 champions which are so powerful, which are first rotation worthy to take up. So looks like Astralis might want to prioritize AD carry here. In the LCK, we saw Lee Sin first picks coming out.
See if that's what SK Gaming wants to go towards here. If they're going to respond with a Varus in the bottom lane, that has been kind of the standard across the globe so far. Very powerful early champion, but Aphelios would be interesting. Wow, great hair, Jenax. I love it. Max Super Saiyan Jenax. We'll see if he can have that level of performance today.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll see an Aphelios without Thresh. That's been taken away, so it looks like to me the Kai'Sa with an engaged support. Now Kai'Sa into Ezreal. Always like a favorable matchup for Kai'Sa, you think, because she gets the push. But the Ezreal, different kind of patch now. Can be more tanky, has the sheen on the Sunderer now, so a lot more powerful. But that's just an instant Kai'Sa Nautilus coming out from SK. Astralis have a lot of options here. Things like the Rumble are still up if they want to go towards jungle picks. Maybe even Leona match Braum, even Ezreal, Braum, Lee Sin, something like this to match into Nautilus. We'll see what they opt into.
Yeah, defensive options. Of course, keeping my eyes on how Jesiz and Jezu are going to play on the bottom side of the map. This bot lane can be an incredible powerhouse if they get rolling. Nautilus still a lot of kill pressure in the bot lane, despite Hex Flash again being disabled this week. But Lee Sin coming out interesting. WhiteKnight, of course, leaving the split on a high note. Very incredible Renekton performances. And I'm assuming this is going into his hands, but as mentioned, in this meta, not only there are a ton of powerful picks, Caedrel, there are a ton of flex picks too, which I think, from a coach's perspective, is probably a nightmare to draft, but from our perspective, makes every single draft exciting.
Yeah, Lee Sin is going to be a triple flex here, so it can go top jungle mid. That's going to be the Leona match. I expect something maybe like the Braum, but Leona also works pretty well with the Lee Sin, so very standard stuff coming out here from both teams. We'll see what SK want to respond with here. I mean, you've got a Lee Sin flex, so you might want to go for a flex of your own. You could also pick your jungler. Things like the Rumble or the Udyr could be picked up, as you see Treatz is the jungler. It's really weird to see him in that seat in the camera, right? He's right next to his mid laner. He's the jungler here. And he is going to opt into the Rumble, it looks like. Makes a lot of sense. Go towards the 4-5s. maybe they want to take away junglers here because you'd expect Lee Sin to go towards the solo lane, whereas for Astralis, they're definitely going to start to target their solo lanes.
Perhaps we see some AD solo laners banned away from the side of Astralis, trying to limit what can get paired with the high AP damage coming in from the Rumble. And again, Treatz a guy that we have to watch. Seeing him on a champion without CC is a first for me. This guy was a massive playmaker individually for the team. None of us are any strangers to some of the incredible plays he made last season to turn games around for SK in what felt like unwinnable situations. I think a bit harder to do from the jungle role without all of that incredible CC, but can, of course, try to approach it maybe just a different way, as the Karma is now banned away alongside the set.
Yeah, more of a follow-up now with that Rumble Equalizer. He will do a lot of damage, but he won't have as much playmaking potential, so his team needs to step up for that. And the set taken away. Can go in towards the mid, but you'd expect that more towards the top side, but you're completely right? As soon as you have this this Rumble, you want to go double AD solo laners. It's really powerful early, really powerful mid game. That's why teams opt into this kind of hybrid damage comps on the top side of the map. And the set's been taken away. Maybe they want to target things like the Lucian, perhaps. Take that off the board for Twohoyrz, who... Oh, Viego also very powerful with the Rumble, but Twohoyrz... Not sure if they could have done a lot of scouting onto him, but he has been promoted in place of Blue, who was sick. And now we'll see what SK want to opt into here. You could go for something like a flex, or just pick your mid laner at best if it's safe. Depends which solo laner wants a blind pick here. You could go for Gnar or the Lucian, which wasn't banned away, and you expect that to go towards the mid lane.
Certainly like the Lucian, and of course we mentioned the triple flex of the Lee Sin earlier. That is now going to be revealed where it's going to go, and if we did get a Nidalee here, it would be a big departure from what we knew Zanzarah from in the previous split in Chem Tank meta, and in a lot of Zanzarah's career, he has been the Skarner guy. He has been the taxman himself, so that would be a pretty big shift. Instead, it will be the Viktor, very defensive option in the mid lane coming out here for MagiFelix.
Very defensive indeed. Viktor picked up into Lucian. The Lucian should win out on that matchup, but that's a Trundle. Not surprising. I mean, the pick itself is surprising, but Zanzarah is more of that supportive tank player. Things like the Skarner, Sejuani, now the Trundle coming out. Will be good against the Nautilus. I mean, SK don't really have that much frontline, especially if they lock in some kind of split pusher here, like the Jace perhaps. But you can get onto that Nautilus. Hang on a second. That's going to be Orianna mid and a Lucian top for Jenax into the Lee Sin of WhiteKnight. So a lot of interesting things coming out here. Lucian top is something you haven't seen for a while in the LEC.
Absolutely have not. And of course, for 2 hours in the mid lane, it does make dealing with the Rumble jungle a little bit more difficult as he no longer has a dash to get him around that pillar. But in the top lane, Jenax is going to be feeling good, and this is going to be a very explosive matchup. Jenax and WhiteKnight, two guys who were stepping up towards the end of the season for both of their teams respectively. And that's generally where we're going to keep our eyes. That and the jungle matchup, the two places that I am laser focused on, because believe it or not, I think I've seen enough Orianna Viktor to last a lifetime.
Yeah, expected something more explosive in the mid lane for 2 hours, but it's his first game. Something comfort might work just best for him. Orianna, definitely a comfort champion, just something that can farm up and be useful towards the mid to late game. You're not over-pressured in getting ahead on things like perhaps the Lucian, arguably, to make yourself snowballing. And it does give you a lot of team fight. Kai'Sa, Nautilus, Rumble, Orianna, that's a lot of team fight already. Just the Lucian is a bit out of place because it's a split pusher. They need to focus towards the top side of the map, whereas Astralis have playmaking on support, they have playmaking on top lane as well, and MagiFelix is their late game insurance.
Good place for MagiFelix to be. We saw it in the Corkies last season, how he could turn things around as we get ready for our second game of the day, Astralis versus SK. And again, first game of the season, it's just a taste of what both of these teams can bring, but it will give you an indicator, potentially, of what's to come in the weeks to follow. How strong is Astralis, keeping the same lineup that only managed to get 9th place? SK Gaming on the opposite side, making drastic changes across the board. A lot of questions. And we're not really going to get complete answers here, Caedrel. We're just going to get a glimpse of, again, what's to come.
What's to come indeed, and there's a lot of question marks in this game. Substitute mid laner, support role swap to jungle, and the head coach coming in for support for SK. So I definitely won't say that SK is at their strongest right now, especially with the substitute. But we'll see how they perform up against Astralis, who is almost like a must-win for SK, although it is the first game of the season. Astralis. These wins stack up.
They absolutely do, and of course, we have to cast our mind back to last split. We've mentioned it once already, but Astralis is a team who finished in 9th place. Now, they've opted to keep their roster. I like the confidence that they're willing to give these guys another shot from the start of Astralis. Will it pay off is a good question. You can see SK up there in 6th, getting knocked out first round of playoffs. It was a difficult run. They've opted to make massive changes in Caedrel. Since we're not going to see any level 1s, I think it's time we talk about the Jezus change. This caught a lot of people off guard. Treatz, of course, going into jungle. Jezus, formerly the coach of this team. He is a player with a ton of experience, but seeing him back on the starting lineup surprised a lot of people, myself included.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience, right? You can see it there. 159 LEC games. He went to Worlds twice, once with Fnatic even. That Worlds wasn't that successful for them, but Jesiz, I think the biggest question mark for me is can he get back in form? Because I think he hasn't been a player for quite a long time, a year or two, so he's going to have a lot of grinding ahead of him. And I think this SK change was very sudden, so he only had a couple of weeks to prepare. We'll have to see what kind of form he's in, but I think he should be able to step up to the plate and deliver here. But as Zanzarah stunned blue into the enemy red buff, it's on a ward though, so Treatz will know. I wonder if Treatz is going to go to the enemy bot side jungle. He should. I don't think he will have the bot push because SK was forced to leash. Looks like he's just going to go towards his wolves for now, and Zanzarah just getting a little bit of a cheeky early game lead there.
And I respected hook and a land initially. promisq trying to trade back. Not quite going to be able to proc the plasma stacks there coming in from Jezu, but overall pretty even bot lane thus far. Zanzarah will be able to grab 2 buffs here and maybe just walk down, start this up. Trundle notoriously bad at taking this camp, but it looks like Zanzarah is going to go for it anyway.
Yeah, with Smite it should be absolutely fine. We'll get 2 camps, so Treatz will need to start responding soon. He's going to go through bot into their jungle, I'd expect. Maybe he wants to look for some kind of gank here on the bot side of Astralis, who are going very aggressive.
Done, going to connect. Treatz now on the way down. This is a bit unfortunate for Jeskla and promisq. Treatz now moving forward. promisq going to burn. Thumbs up!
That's a very, very confusing all-in from promisq. Your jungler splits the map topside, level 3, and then you go for an all-in bot when you don't have any information on the enemy jungler. It's really, really risky, so he gets punished there. Zanzarah, though, is level 3. He's run through mid with red buff. He wins the 1v1 against Rumble, and he's making sure that he doesn't lose his bot camps. But Jezu is behind him, so is Twohoyrz. Needs to be a bit careful here.
Gravity field, the flash forward from Jezu. Bold, it's aggressive for a first stage on the game on the stage. Wow, I'm tripping.
Well, that hook was close. I respect it. Tried to force something. Unfortunately, doesn't have the Hex Flash to make up for it. But trying to force things like that, you can't really blame him. If MagiFelix loses Flash there, Twohoyrz gets mid-push, and he gets a lot there, even if he only trades Flashes. So worth it in the end, but he doesn't land it. So never mind, it's not really worth it. Treatz doesn't get the red buff. Zanzarah keeps his jungle, and all they get themselves is a kill, which was punished from promisq going a bit too deep.
In Caedrel, we're already 700 gold difference between these two teams, and I think while we may not look back at that first blood, just a bit of a difficult situation when it felt so obvious, it felt so telegraphed. So to make these kind of mistakes, it makes sense. It's your first game back on stage in a long time, but you really can't make more mistakes like this in a stage game.
Yeah, definitely. And Treatz can be a little bit behind. Does punish that mistake, and he does get himself ahead. But like you said in draft, Treatz was this big playmaker for SK. He was the one making the plays, the clutch plays against Mad Lions when they were losing games. All those flashy plays with the knockups, getting them back in the game, and picking up wins which perhaps they shouldn't have gotten. But now he's not really a playmaker, especially on something like the Rumble. Yes, he can have impact early on ganks, but he's more of a follow-up team fighter with damage now. So a lot of the priority now goes towards Jesiz, Twohoyrz with this Orianna Nautilus to set up the fight so he can be the one to follow up, which could be dangerous for SK. But if they can step it up and look for those engages and actually nail them, then they should be okay. We'll just have to see how Treatz performs on the jungle role.
And the good news is, Jezus is a pretty reliable CC. You've got an Orianna Shockwave to pair with it. And while it might be a lot of magic damage, certainly more than enough to burn through a lot of the squishier members on the side of Astralis, MagiFelix, and Jeskla, really going to be the ones to suffer there as we see Zanzarah sneak in on the top side of the map.
He got spotted there. I think Jenax just about saw him. And Zanzarah has actually wasted a lot of time. I'm just going to bring up the minimap here. He actually didn't do any of these camps on the bot side of the map. He just took his red and went back towards the top side. So he's lost out on a lot of jungle farm, and Treatz is already base and is clearing his second respawn. So now he's going to base, picks up the double ruby crystal, should be able to get out on the map, but you can see how far ahead Treatz is. But that play top was necessary. Cover WhiteKnight for the push out, gets him a free base, he can save TP.
Jezus can walk forward, walk around the wave, and hook promisq. promisq does have his flash available, but he needs to do it immediately. Now flash and heal coming out to safety. They want to turn and burn onto Jezus. Jezus slowly but surely taking down WhiteKnight in the midst of everything. That's going to be a kill traded back. Jeskla going to grab that one. Twohoyrz here as well as Jenax. Very aggressive plays from both sides. No TPs remaining for any of the solo laners.
Everyone's bot lane. 5 minutes in the game, 10 players in bot side. Only nets 1 kill for the side of Astralis, punishing Jezus going too far forward. And the reason they're responding to the TPs is because if SK or Astralis didn't match the TPs, then the other team would have got engaged on. They'd have to burn flashes, so it's better to just be safe than sorry. Make sure you're there. Now, it all depends on the wave states now. So mid lane's pushing in for Astralis, so SK won't lose too much. Astralis losing out there. Now, it all depends on that top wave. If it's pushing into Jenax, then he's happy. He can waste time around mid. He doesn't need to go top anytime soon, whereas it looks like the wave's pushing into SK, I would say. That's why Astralis is running up there. And it's a bit even, but I think Astralis should get that wave pushing into SK. Let's force it mid.
Flash forward from the Rumble. No CC, but he doesn't need it. Jezus going to grab that one.
Looks like they're going to punish MagiFelix walking up there. Has to flash away. Really good punish. And both junglers 6 minutes, 30 seconds in at level 4. They're just running around the map looking for plays. WhiteKnight's trying to collect this wave. Treatz was looking for another play. And there's a lot of action in this early game.
I like it. I like that Treatz and Jezus are already pairing up and working together. While Jezus's individual level of support might have come into question for a lot of people, you have to assume that if anyone is going to know how to move around the map, it would be a coach there in that context. Treatz now trying to back away here, but Zanzarah is incredibly strong. 2 hours, though, going to dissuade any further follow-up.
Yeah, just hit level 6, so Zanzarah can't go too far forwards, but maybe he wants to punish more because MagiFelix is around. He's only level 5, though, without flash. So 2 hours, Treatz and Jezus have really good setup in mid, you know, things like the Nautilus and the Shockwave, Rumble ult when it comes up, because MagiFelix won't have flash for a while. Maybe they can look to punish that, but Zanzarah on the Trundle will farm slower than the Rumble, which means he wants to make plays happen.
Oh, and you can see him just stalking around in the jungle, waiting in the darkness, just trying to pick a fight. Of course, has more effective combat stats. You pay a lot for the movement speed on Sword Shoes. Definitely helps your clear, but will not help you in the 1v1. Zanzarah, though, very bold clear here. Not sure if the particle there from the frozen domain can be spotted out by the side of Treatz, but it looks like he is going to be able to grab this one away. Smite just a moment from coming back off cooldown. And Treatz walking back to find that his red has been stolen. Well played by Zanzarah.
Feels like Treatz knew that, and the way he knew that was because WhiteKnight pushed out that top wave really fast and then walked into Fog of War. So, well, he's trying to move into my top side for a reason. Zanzarah was there earlier. It's very obvious that the red buff was taken away, so Treatz doesn't want to fight that. He knows he has no flash. If he walks up too far against the Lucian Trundle pillar, he's pretty much dead. So, good respect there. Looks like he's just going to clear out his bot camps. And a lot of action in terms of TPs and aggressive plays and flashing forward, but for now it looks like the game's calmed down a bit.
It has. We can take stock of everything that's going on. Less than a 1,000 gold lead in favor of SK, but I think the good news for SK is that their substitute mid laner 2 hours here, they're able to support him in the mid lane. He's starting to build up a CS lead, build up an individual advantage, 12 ahead of MagiFelix. I mean, it has to feel good. We often wonder how rookies to the LEC stage, even if they had experience in the ERLs, are going to perform in their first games. And for now, 2 hours has been doing solid.
Yeah, definitely ahead. That kill really helped him out. Although he didn't get an assist, it means he can push in waves and get free bases, which gets a general CS lead, which helps him out a lot. MagiFelix a little bit behind here. And in the current state now, it looks like Zanzarah is starting up the Herald. Looks like he'll secure that pretty easily. Has the vision, has the top push. Enemy mid laners in base. Treatz got spotted out on that pink ward on the entrance. So I think that Astralis know SK are trying to do something here. They haven't started up the dragon, so they need to force something. promisq doesn't have flash just yet. Maybe that's what they're looking for here.
Jezus can try to go for the flash hook here. Equalizer comes down, flash hook, flash away from Jeskla. A good trade at the end of the day, trading your support for your AD carry, but definitely not the play that SK wanted.
Yeah, flash for flash helps, but Ezreal is very mobile regardless. But we'll see if Astralis want to cross-map top. You can see Zanzarah is hovering up there. Treatz just showed himself bot side and used the ultimate. Jenax has no TP. They could Herald topper and look for platings, but it looks like Zanzarah is going to go for counter jungling instead. Doesn't want to waste the Herald up there. Maybe it's better used in the mid lane. And SK are going to pick up that dragon eventually. They have the bot side vision, so lots of cross-map trading coming in here from junior objectives, trade of flashes, lots of generic trading coming in here.
Not a bad start getting Cloud Drake, especially when you are such an ultimate reliant composition in the form of the Nautilus as well as the Rumble side by side in some of these fights. Shockwave 2, not to mention. But that said, Zanzarah, while he hasn't been finding too many games here on this top side, he has the Herald, and we're going to have to wait to see where he does use it. Obviously wants to use it sooner rather than later to make sure that he can secure some of those tower plates.
Yeah, both carries on Astralis don't have flash now, so SK have 2 options to set up around. But Zanzarah has the Herald, so he wants to use that probably towards mid-bot side to get either mid platings to make the mid tower easier to take, especially against a control mage, or to get Jeskla a little bit ahead on this Ezreal, who's already got a kill. So 2 options there. Lucian getting ahead isn't so necessary. Winning out on that side lane is not that important when there's so much team fight coming in here. But the thing is, when he forces that play, SK are going to respond, and no flash on the Ezreal or Viktor is going to be dangerous. So maybe just take a little bit of time here, get a few levels, and then look to place it in the next minute or two. 14 minutes when the platings run out, so they have plenty of time to work with. Yeah,
certainly not in a rush. Jezus now returns to lane. You can see promisq and Jeskla both staying very far back, learning from the mistakes they made early in the game. Not entirely sure where Treatz was until a few moments ago, so did not want to take any risks, force any kind of crazy plays here. Now Zanzarah in the bottom lane. If they're able to find a kill here, very easy, instant use of the Herald could work in their favor, but for now, it looks like they're just protecting as they push in this wave.
Yeah, look what Zanzarah is doing. He's skipping out all his bot camps. Every single camp is up right now, apart from his blue buff, but he's just hanging around bot. Maybe he's scared of Treatz ganking down towards the bot side with the level 6 Nautilus and Kai'Sa ultimate with Jeskla, no flash. So gets him a few wards down there, gets him a little bit of vision so they can push out the wave and crash it, makes it so they're safe, and now he can clear out his camp. So covers the danger situation, and now he can go and be a bit selfish. And that's the difference between these play-making early junglers and these farming junglers. A farming jungler always wants to get the camps on cooldown so they can keep power farming, whereas these kind of junglers like Trundle, things like Sejuani, they're happy to just spend time looking for plays, and then they'll go back to their camps afterwards. So Treatz slightly ahead right now, but Zanzarah should recover that because now Treatz has a window after his camps have died if he wants to look towards the bot side. promisq has flash though. TPs are coming up from everyone.
It's a very small window, but one where they could make a possible play. Trundle would be coming in a little bit too late as the hook does manage to connect. Ulti coming out as well. Jezu just going down over the top side. That's so much damage on Ezreal. Jeskla burning down, and that's exactly the start that they needed. TP used, TP responded. We might have a full-on bot lane party one more time. Jenax coming in. Hook gonna get flashed away by MagiFelix. No follow-up there as Treatz tries to burn down Zanzarah, but SK now pushing in.
WhiteKnight's the one who learned from last time. I'm not TPing down there, I'm staying in my lane. SK all TP down, and Astralis back off. The kill does come through regardless of the TPs, and now WhiteKnight can push in towards the top side. So small net positive there, can deny some waves from Jenax on this Lucian, who needs resources, and he can get himself a few platings. But regardless, SK make the play happen. They get themselves a kill, and Treatz making plays around the map.
You gotta respect it.
Oh, there's the TP though.
Far. TP coming in a little bit later. Dash not gonna come out, but here is the pillar for follow-up. Lucian in the area as well. That's the flash. Kick him right into the wall and finish him off. The double bruisers. Wow, just doing work here on the bottom side.
Yeah, WhiteKnight had a free TP timing. He's the one that kept it. There was a ward behind Jenax. Even with the flash, it doesn't matter. Lucian is so mobile. Trundle can slow him down with the pillar. And great play there from Astralis. The Herald's used, so it looks like it will go to Jeskla if he can crash this wave. And they won't get a full tower for this. Maybe Jezu can respond on the top side, but WhiteKnight's already based and he's running up there. So Astralis with his Herald should get 2 or 3 platings.
Yeah, heads up play. Holding out on that TP. Zanzarah now has some slows coming through on his auto attacks with the Frostfire Gauntlet, but Jesiz and Jezu already here. They should be able to grab the first 3 plates pretty easily, but the rest of Astralis is now moving up to respond, trying to make sure that they can get a little bit more done here. So it's not even going to be 2, only the single plate going over to their favor, while Jeskla on the opposite side is getting a lot of money in his back pocket.
Yeah, look at 2Hours. Around 700-800 gold up. First LEC game ever. Level up on MagiFelix, has the push, has the CS lead. He's doing fantastic so far, and he's always moving to sides to cover out Treatz, who's making the plays. Yes, Jenax is behind, but Jezu, 2Hours, and Treatz are sitting in a good spot.
Of course, Gale Force coming through now for Jenax is nice. Landry's on the way for 2 hours. And Core Drinker for Lee Sin going to feel good in some of these duels, but we'll see what Jezus and the rest of SK can get done. It's going to be the turn and burn. Zanzarah can come in here with the pillar. Jezus is going to be in trouble. The second the Aftershock falls off, he's going to be very squishy, but the Shockwave comes in to bail him out. WhiteKnight can't fall off. He's fishing for the kick. We'll go just a little bit wide. SK getting away with that.
Jezus just about lives. I think Astralis should have overcommitted to that. I mean, Zanzarah didn't have the ult to ult the Aftershock, so they didn't have the burst to take him down, but promisq is the one who falls with flash up. I think he got ulted into hook, into Shockwave, so he didn't really have a chance to find it. So play from Astralis backfires, and they're the ones who get punished. Now SK can be the ones to push out these lanes, and just a net positive for the side of SK.
Certainly one of the disadvantages of the composition that they put together right now with Viktor. You know, no items under his belt quite yet. Ezreal nowhere in the area. Lee Sin not in the area. Zanzarah doesn't really do a lot of damage. You give him enough time, he can kill a champion, but the Leona plus the Trundle, not a very big threat to someone as tanky as a Nautilus with Aftershock up.
Yeah, didn't have the burst in the end, didn't have the item just yet. You're completely right. This Viktor needs to scale a little bit more, whereas Orianna was pretty, she had decent items, she has a lot of burst with the Shockwave if she can get it, but the MagiFelix on this Viktor needs the Chaos Storm down, he needs time, he does more DPS rather than burst, so they didn't manage to pick up the kill. But let's look at the map. Treatz starting up the Dragon again, second Dragon for SK, so they could be looking at a 25-minute-ish soul here once they take this down, and they're playing towards the bot side. That means SK on the top side of the map need to be careful. Once Zanzarah here is that taken down, looks like he's starting up the second Herald, I believe, or he's fishing for some kind of vision here.
While the second Herald is certainly less valuable, the bigger concern is that SK are now stacking these Drakes. While we didn't see much Drake stacking whatsoever in our previous game, still one of the simplest ways overall to try to win the game. You can inevitably force a team fight if you're SK. Force Astralis to fight into you, which could be a very difficult proposition as we get later into the game.
Yeah, I think if you look at MSI, you see the meta is more of like an Udyr-orientated meta with stacking Drakes and scaling and then forcing fights on the soul point, whereas this kind of meta feels like there's a lot more explosivity in the game. Things like Nocturne, Rumble, Gwen and Viego, re-enabled champs, Sunderer buffed, Ezreal's back in, so there's a lot more fighting in the early stages than just kind of simply stacking Drakes with bot fire, right? So definitely more fun to watch, but for now SK are the ones who are getting these Dragons uncontested because Astralis are focusing more towards early gold than early Drakes. They're getting the double Herald to get early gold on platings and towers, whereas SK are kind of getting this Dragon insurance.
And the struggle here, of course, is that despite that focus on tower gold, despite the focus on plating and Heralds, they're still behind in gold overall. We see 2Hours in his first game taking a mid lane tower away from MagiFelix. Definitely.
20 CS up, has a kill, taken away the tower from MagiFelix. First tower of the game without any heralds. So really well played from 2Hours, punishing MagiFelix's bad basings to get the plates and eventually getting the tower because he wins out of the 1v1. Jezu forces Jeskla back.
And And you have to think about what this means for 2Hours. It's easy. When I think of this team, I feel bad for Blue. It's rough to not be able to play. But for 2Hours, regardless of what happens with this roster, this is his chance to prove himself on this stage, on this big momentous stage. And while he had solid performances in the ERLs, he was never one to rise above. He was never on the tip of anyone's tongue. He wasn't a leader. He wasn't one of the big players that people were looking at. So having an excellent performance here in this game, potentially in this week, is massive for a player like 2Hours.
Definitely. Really far ahead, a level up. Still up in CS, so we'll have to keep our eye on him, because although he can't make insane plays on his own, force these fights, the shockwave's going to be crucial. He will get stronger and stronger and stronger as the game progresses. And SK are making plays of their own. This is going to be the second tower they take. WhiteKnight's a little bit ahead on the Lucian, but everyone else on SK is ahead in their respective roles.
Absolutely. And the Orianna is only getting scarier. That Saros is very close to coming through here. Obviously going to need a bit more money, but once it's completed, the tier is going to be fully stacked. That's going to be an incredibly powerful champion.
And the thing that's crazy to me is when I look at SK in playoffs, Jenax was the driving factor behind the wins with things like the Naur, but in this game, he's actually the one who's behind and his team's the one kind of carrying that weight. Jezu ahead on the Kai'Sa, 2 hours ahead on the Orianna, and Treatz on his debut jungle game, playing fantastically. I think he's a level up ahead in CS. He's been securing the Dragons and making the plays, 100% kill participation. But now the game all becomes about playing around neutrals, because once these tier 1s start to fall, it's all about pushing in waves and getting vision. So you can see Astralis pushing in mid-wave, trying to get some vision towards his top side so that Jeskla can get an easier time pushing in and trying to take the top tier 1, which is the objective. And until the Dragon spawns, I think Astralis will keep focusing on towards his top side.
See a bit of pressure utilized in the mid lane in the form of the Rift Herald. The rest of Astralis not feeling too comfortable to step forward here. Keep in mind, MagiFelix does have that first item completed, but he's still a little bit behind in terms of individual matchup. That said, as you mentioned already, Treatz is very far ahead, so someone that we need to watch in these fights. Second he hits level 11, the Equalizer is going to hit like a truck if it doesn't already.
I think SK have a lot of damage and a lot of zone control in these fights. The only problem really they have is, the only front line they have is Jesiz, and I think Zanzarah is going to ult him on the Aftershock, so he's going to get melted. It's whether Astralis can move forward or not. Jezu's going aggressive.
In trouble, but that's going to be the hook lockdown. That's so much CC. Jezu, does he want to follow up here? Ezreal all dodged out conveniently just in time. Jezu now moving over. He manages to make it out.
Clean play. Absolutely clean play from Jezu. You saw the W ult come out, takes down Zanzarah, but what really was Zanzarah looking for there? He looks like he was trying to take a 1v1 against the Kai'Sa with Kraken Slayer and the red buff, even though Jesiz was around and none of his team was nearby. Maybe he was expecting TPs, but the Trundle doesn't do more damage than the Kai'Sa at this point in the game. The Kai'Sa, I think, would have won out on that 1v1 because of the red buff. Jesiz comes in, they secure the kill. And
it's got to be frustrating if you're an Astralis fan, because these kind of mistakes were littered across all of the Astralis spring games. It's part of the reason that they fell down to 9th place, and I think a lot of fans are probably expecting them to have cleaned up a lot of these performances, given that they chose to stick with the same 5-man lineup. Now, admittedly, it's one game, it's one play, but we'll start to stack up as we get further and further into this one. Not the kind of mistakes they can afford to make. Zanzarah there on the top side. We saw promisq earlier on the bottom side. These little mistakes are part of the reason that SK has been able to build now a 2,500 gold lead.
Yeah, and Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, 25 seconds now. It's all about this Dragon. SK will have the ults coming up. I think the Killer Instinct won't be up, but I think the Nautilus ult should be up. But Astralis are the ones with control, which is really important when you have things like Lucian and Ezreal. Poke and engage. They can catch them out with the kick if they step too far forwards. Jezu, no flash, is very dangerous. So SK, they want to control this Dragon. They have to try to get some vision. They're stacking up here. They have the sweeper, they have the wards, but Astralis are ready for the face check. This is the danger of not having vision. Face checking is crucial. They have that one ward in the river, which is giving them a lot of information, and the Infernal Map Soul is actually helping them out a bit, but I think they won't be able to find their way into this pit.
Not taking any risks. Astralis going to be able to take this one away. Very big deal. Not letting your opponent get to the Dragon Soul point. Massive, buys you so much more time in this game just to scale up, something that MagiFelix, of course, is still needing.
They're going to start Baron here. They have a Kai'Sa, so they can burst it down quickly. The Rumble does a lot of damage. They're just 5-manning this Baron. I think Astralis are just not there in time. Can they get there?
Zanzarah running. It's ticking. They have so much damage. You already mentioned it. Yes, they don't have a front line, so they're getting very low. 3K, full commit. Zanzarah coming in. Zanzarah, no flash available. They're going to burn down the Baron. WhiteKnight over the wall. WhiteKnight looking to turn it back. That's going to be the kick from downtown, trying to fire back. Jezu still alive for now, but he will be sacrificed so the rest of the team can escape. MagiFelix picking a fight here with Treatz. Treatz just going to get cut down here. Big shutdown. How many Baron buffs will survive? Surely they're going to go for the dive here onto Jezus. Auto attacks there, not enough. Shutdown onto Jezus as well. SK, they grabbed the Baron, but other than that, it's a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, somewhat of an overcommit there. Maybe they thought they had a little bit more time to work with. Jezu didn't have flash, so he has to run out of the pit. And they tried to help him get out, but in the end, WhiteKnight was there with the TP behind them, and they managed to secure themselves 3 kills and shutdowns, which is crucial. So you can see Jenax culling this Baron. You know they're just trying to burst and get out. Treatz instantly flashes over the wall to get out. I think he could have got out if he just kept running, but he tries to turn and help out the team. But on the other side, WhiteKnight's found the engage. Jezu falls. SK, as soon as you finish that Baron, the comms are just run, run, run. Whoever can get out gets out. I think Treatz could have lived as well, and losing 2 wouldn't have hurt as much, but double shutdown onto Jezu and Treatz. And Jesiz does put Astralis back in this game. If they were to lose that Baron and got nothing from it, then it would have been a disaster.
Only a 2k gold deficit now. Jeskla, second item completed, still stacking up on the Muramana. Jenax has to be careful though here. He's one of 2 remaining Baron buffs. If he gets picked off here, it is disaster. The Baron's still not working out for them. Zanzarah has to run for the hills though. He's ticking, he's burning down. The kick flash coming in from WhiteKnight, but no follow-up. promisq you cannot land the Zenith Blade, but he might not need to. It is an absolute all-out brawl. It is a mess of a fight, and Treatz manages to make it out. Now promisq you on the run, the knockup coming through. MagiFelix potentially next on the list, but Jeskla has the overstayed. The hook going in, the flash out from Jeskla. It's clean so far, but it's the double for 2 hours.
This was a 4v5. Jeskla did arrive a little bit late, but Jezu was never in this fight. SK win the fight. I think Astralis overcommitted. WhiteKnight's kick flash was a bit too aggressive. There wasn't enough damage to follow up, and it took too long to take down Treatz. Astralis pay the price, and Jenax with this Cerildas is doing a lot of damage, actually, surprisingly.
Caedrel, that was a mess.
That was a mess. And SK have a top wave. I wonder if they can get to it in time with the Baron buff to try and secure that top tier 2. Looks like they are a bit out of tempo here, and Astralis are coming out of base, so they won't risk it. Take away jungle camps, and that's the punish of winning fights. You take towers, you take creep waves, you push them in, or you take jungle camps and vision. There's lots of different resources you can punish by getting kill advantages, and I think WhiteKnight just overcommits way too much here with the kick flash because there just wasn't enough follow-up.
Ward comes over the wall, spotted out. Zanzarah here, pillar as well to deny any possible escape. But you see massive damage already from Treatz, just knocks Zanzarah out of the fight.
But what does that kick flash achieve? No one can really connect on the Treatz. The Zhonya's buys time, and now 2 hours comes into the fight. The shield, the shockwave, pulls WhiteKnight back, and he falls. Yes, Treatz dies, but now Astralis can't fight. Jeskla turns up late, and he can't salvage the fight either. And Jezu's just farming Krugs on the top side while that whole fight kicks off.
Zanzarah going in. He's not done picking fights yet. Now stepping forward, won't be able to smite that objective away. And you can see 2 hours, the gold leader in this game, 3-0-0. Again, phenomenal start for this young player in the LEC. Jezu now going to find the lockup. Zanzarah overstaying his welcome in enemy territory. Becoming a bit of a trend in this game. Equalizer goes wide. Healing from the ult is going to make sure that he makes it out of that one. Astralis with a bit of tempo here, but Zanzarah may be forced to reset.
Yeah, Treatz, I think, went for the blind equalizer there, and Jeskla just burned the heal just in case. Shockwave coming in, though. Doesn't find enough.
Well, Caedrel, we've gotten a little bit wild in this game, I'm not going to lie. Since that Baron, it feels like feet are on the gas. You know, no one's really pulling back here. Zanzarah certainly not, as in the meantime, Jenax was able to farm a little bit more. And of course, as you may have noticed, promisq did select the Hex Flash rune and used it once within the Astralis base, despite that it was administratively banned. I'm reading this on prompters, so keep up with me. League officials hence have informed the player that he will not be allowed to utilize Hex Flash for the entirety of the game. So again, update, there were some bugs with Hex Flash as seen in the LPL, so it has been disabled administratively, which means you just tell the players not to pick it in this case, and maybe promisq a little bit of a misclick here, not entirely certain, but he is not allowed to use it despite the fact that it does show up here.
And that'll hurt him, right? Now he has no kind of mastery or rune there with that Hex Flash because he's not allowed to use it. But anyway, 20 seconds until the Dragon and Astralis have the setup. SK, although they have a lot of damage, they don't have a lot of front line to face check this. So Astralis are going to sit in these bushes and stop them from coming in and then turn and burn this Dragon. But SK want to fight.
That is a massive equalizer across 4, but the follow-up just isn't there, which means Astralis for now just get to walk out of this one decent. Ezreal hits Jenax for a little bit of damage. Jezus burning his ultimate as well, but the follow-up just isn't here. Zanzarah, the front line, to tank most of that damage. A lot of low health bars on the side of Astralis, but Jeskla already healing back up. That's the power of the Divine Sunderer, and it's actually SK who are starting to get poked out.
Yeah, SK pushed in mid-wave, and Astralis just had to give it up because the amount of spells coming out from SK, they used a lot of ultimates to secure this push to be able to get into this Dragon Pit. All they have left is a Shockwave and the Killer Instinct, but Astralis don't have much either.
Poke onto MagiFelix, immediately Kai'Sa into the back line, collects a little bit of extra gold here for Jezu on that one, and now they just burned down the objective. Astralis opting to split on that one, a bit of a head-scratcher.
Yeah, huge mistake there for MagiFelix. He has the flash, but he walks into hook range of a Nautilus, instantly dies. The fight's lost from that point onwards. Now, SK Infernal Soul point, but Jenax might be too deep here. Twohoyrz has TP if he wants to match.
Getting drained here. No resistances to speak of. Zanzarah just threading through him. So much damage now coming out. Lucian just walks in. Point and click on the Dragon's Rage will finish the job.
He did not want to match. I can understand why. Lucian and Trundle are quite powerful when they get those... the Lucian gets the Conqueror stacks and the Zanzarah has the ultimate, and Jenax was pretty much dead in that play. TP invested though. Does end up falling, but I don't think Astralis can get much for that. But in the end, SK are the ones who get away with the Drake, which was the whole point of this setup.
Caedrel. This has been a weird game of League of Legends, I'm not going to lie to you. There have been some great moments. There have been some mistakes. Of course, both these teams still warming up to the stage, still the first game of the season. For now, SK, 3K gold advantage, holding on to it, getting vision around this Baron, and we saw how quickly they burned through the Baron previously. Obviously, the Baron stat's going to scale up a bit, but the damage from SK also continuing to scale. 2Hours, the surprise hero of this game. Kind of expected him to be a footnote. A bit of a struggle for the team as he is the substitute, but 3-0-0 has the Blightning Jewel, 2 other items completed. He is incredibly strong.
He's really, really strong. Level 15, he will get the Void Staff soon as well. 3 items Orianna soon at 27 minutes in the game. And Astralis need to be really careful for that Shockwave. Not a lot, and there is a little bit of MR coming out, but once that Void Staff's picked up, and there it is, he's going to shred through everyone on Astralis. So one Shockwave could decide the game here, but for now, because he's in base, Astralis have 10-point mid, so they're going to take this tier 1, and they are going to get themselves something on the map. But they are a little bit behind. They should lose out on fights, but if they can find a kick onto 2Hours, if they can find some kind of burst onto Jezu, then they should be favored. And having setup definitely helps with that. But SK are going to do exactly what they did on that Dragon setup. They're going to group it up mid, push it down mid, and then move into River together.
And spotting that recall obviously big. Just letting them know even more that they are free to walk into this Baron Pit area, that they are free to lay down vision, even as mid push is being secured. And you see Treatz and Jesiz teaming up. Again, question marks for both of these players in their new role. Jesiz returning to the main stage, Treatz moving into the jungle. But so far this game, they've looked pretty well coordinated together. 2-2-5, they got the matching score lines to boot. Both these players clearly holding on to those fundamentals in the offseason and playing very well around vision.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see it right there. True Shot Barrage used to actually check the Baron. Astralis are completely blind, so they're going to do exactly what SK did. Group up mid and push it while Jenax is on side, and then we can contest. Now, SK could pull the trigger here once Jenax is a little bit closer, so Astralis need to clear this wave at range and be a bit careful. You can see them just hovering back and letting Jeskla be the one to do that, and SK will maintain control. It's all about control at this point. Now, the longer this control war goes on, the more it benefits SK, because once the Dragon spawns, they can just move their control and then keep that, and then they can start the Infernal Dragon, which means Astralis have to move in. So, control's the aim of the game here, and Astralis need to make something happen before that Dragon spawns.
And again, it's a level 16 Orianna. It's an Orianna who is ahead of the clock, which means the shields are stronger, the damage is stronger, the shockwave is stronger. 2Hours absolutely a threat to be respected. Something to keep our eyes on for now. Astralis fighting back with priority. Is this the moment where they try to make a play, where they try to force something? WhiteKnight from over the wall. Decision making, a little questionable this game. A few mishaps here and there, but his mechanics have been clean. Flash over the wall from Jezus though. Immediate engage onto the Ezreal. From downtown comes the equalizer, but Jeskla rather going to flash out. Jezus now in trouble though. WhiteKnight has turned it back. Zanzarah now flashing out to safety, but Coleman coming out alongside the Gale Force. Both sides going to back away, but only Jezus going down.
Yeah, it was a smart engage, I have to say, from Jezus. It didn't work out in this case. If 2Hours was close with the shockwave with the CC chain, Jeskla was dead. If Jezu ulted in, maybe Jeskla was dead, but that was risky and 2Hours wasn't in range. So the play itself, the fundamental concept of that was good. It just didn't work out. Loses this flash, does get taken down, and Astralis managed to get a pick, but still 1 minute 20 till Dragon. Astralis, the best they can get from that kill, that arguable mistake there from Jezus, is just pushing lanes. They can push out top, they can reset, they can get control of wards, and they can come back out on the map. So SK won't lose too much for that. There's still 1 minute till it's Dragon, but lots of control and fighting will come towards this mid-bot side now.
And while we have a reset, Caedrel, while we have 2K gold lead for SK, we're building towards Dragon Soul. We've got a Baron on the table for either of these teams if they're able to take it. One side now. Casting a game with Jeskla, Jezu, Jesiz, and Jenax. It's a bit hard. As the first play-by-play caster to do this, I just want to warn my play-by-play brethren, in any language, wherever you are, it's a bit of a struggle. Just in the team fights. Everywhere else is fine. But I just want to call it out before we have what will feel like a very much game-deciding fight if either team is able to ace, if either team is able to take one of these major objectives, or at least the soul point in the case of SK.
Definitely. Astralis are the ones with setup. See the TP's coming in. Ult comes out from promisq. He was trying to find the engage before SK can contest this, but Jezus going in.
Goes in on the Lucian. Jezus in the midst of everybody. They're going to probably try to wait for Aftershock to fade away. Zanzarah already using the ultimate just to try to steal some of those resistances. He's very tanky, but down comes the equalizer. Zoning Rust of Astralis, stopping them from following up, and that's the jungler dead. This is free access to the pit. Chaos Storm is down as well. You have to feel Astralis won this fight before it even properly began.
Yeah, SK SK had the setup. Mistake there from Zanzarah. Went too deep. Jezus gets the hook. He gets melted. The ultimate doesn't save him. And I think the equalizer was crucial. Astralis couldn't contest that. He was zoned away. 2Hours is a bit low, but he has a shockwave. Jezus is on the side. WhiteKnight's trying to find a flank. They have to contest this, but it's gone. Infernal Soul for SK.
SK may be hungry for a little bit more. They have the man advantage. Jezus is going to step forward here a little bit, but Jeskla still has to be respected. A lot of damage coming out from this new Ezreal build. If you give him time, he will do work. So both sides will back away. SK happy with the permanent prize of the Infernal Soul.
SK have to reset though. I think 2Hours might need to TP back mid here because it looks like Astralis is poising towards a Baron rush. It's not going to be the fastest of Barons, and Zanzarah is quite far. They were pinging it, but I think they realize they don't have the time. Maybe they can make a pick because SK have to face check this. Jezus might get caught out here. WhiteKnight has a really good position. 2Hours did TP on the top side. And Astralis need to use something with this tempo. They have vision control. They have some kind of setup. They need to force something, because if they give this to SK, and SK are the ones with control with Infernal Soul, the game's pretty much doomed, so they have to look for something here.
Ezreal goes in. Only going to connect on the Treatz. Zanzarah throwing down the pillar, just trying to see what he can get. Just fishing a little bit.
They're trying to keep the control. Top wave's pushing against them, though, so eventually they're going to have to give this up. And once they do, SK, when they have control, it's going to be really difficult for Astralis to retake it. You can see WhiteKnight going towards bot side. MagiFelix is going to base, and that's going to be the end of that.
It's just such a tough game, I feel, for Astralis to play out, especially now that the Infernal Soul has come in. Single Orianna shockwave can still be a massive decider. You inevitably look towards WhiteKnight. Level 16, Lucian, yes, starts to fall off as we get later to the game, unless you can, find some of these isolated skirmishes. But the Dragon's Rage is always just such a massive factor. If he finds an isolated target, if they can find a pick to kick things off, it could work out for them. But that said, with SK just looking stronger across the board, yes, only a 2k gold lead, but getting backed up by this Infernal Soul.
Yep.
Hard to get pressure on the map, hard to find the vision control necessary, but maybe, just maybe, Astralis have found their window here.
They've kept the control as well. Jenax is bot with no TP. I just realized, Astralis, I think, realized the same thing. They're just going to start up this Baron. SK need to respond. They haven't got much vision, but the vision plant is there. So if they can hit that and get full vision of Astralis, maybe they can look for a steal.
Jeskla, it's going to be a slow burn here from the Ezreal. He's stacking up on the attack speed.
Where's he going to TP?
Jezus off to the side. Walking away. Now it's going to be Golden Clips going in a little bit wide. It's going to be promisq, the first to get burned down here. Rumble out still ticking onto MagiFelix. Ezreal firing back, finding multiple members of the pinch. Jeskla in the mix of everything. The kick flash back is clean. But no, Jezu still has ultimate up and available. He manages to make it out. Jeskla picking off members. The Ezreal is strong. The longer this fight goes, the more oppressive this Ezreal is going to feel. Laying down poke from the back line, not taking any damage in response. And so far, so good from the side of Astralis. Taking down Jezus, keeping the rest of their team alive.
Yeah, I don't think the play's over here. Maybe they want to force more. The TP's coming back in. Astralis are going to force up this Baron. Treatz has the ultimate coming off soon. It's very low cooldown. So is the shockwave. If they can buy some time, maybe they can win this 4v4. Jenax is here. When they engaged earlier on, he wasn't. They're going to look for some kind of vision here.
9k,
Treatz has flash. He could look for the flash steal.
Ball in the pit. 5k, getting lower and lower.
Rumble ults up again in a second. It's going to come down.
Where's the smite? Big equalizer down across the side. If you mess up the smite at all, the equalizer will take it away from you. They're waiting, they're holding, they're burning, they're ticking it, but no, Zanzarah not going to let it happen. Trying to buy a bit of time with a stopwatch. Jezu isolated off to the side by the Chaos Storm. The rest of the team just getting absolutely run down. Rumble gets some good damage, but Jeskla remains standing. Meanwhile, a W from downtown. Jezu just cannot miss a shot.
Can he base though? Jeskla wants to back off, but it looks like they're TPing in mid. There's 40-second death timers on Astralis. Yes, Jeskla will be able to base. I don't think Jezus will be able to spawn. Oh, he's going to go for it! Oh, he almost got it, but I don't know if that ultimate ult got cancelled. I think it's off cooldown, but SK have a wave in mid. They have just enough creeps to play with. 30 seconds on MagiFelix, 20 seconds on Zanzarah, 20 seconds on WhiteKnight. Can they end the game here? Jeskla has to clear out the creeps. SK don't have the Baron buff. I don't think SK can end it here.
Jeskla does some good damage. They're determined to push it in. The Baron buff powering up these creeps. Killing the creeps is one option for Jeskla. Ezreal getting closer and closer, coming off the cooldown. If he can just one-shot the wave, it'll be good. But if he stuns himself with the Ezreal, he will certainly get one tap. Jenax going golden, promisq ready with the auto attack stun to come out. No, not enough. Jenax manages to find the kill, but still, as called, Caedrel, Astralis managing to hold on for now.
Yeah, SK need to run for their lives now. Astralis is going to chase them down. They don't have any TPs to look for it. Jezus no flash though from earlier on. WhiteKnight's connected. Jezu has to give it up. He has the ultimate, but he can't find the fight. 2 hours is out of mana. Jezus is going to fall. Jenax fell. Yes, Jeskla died, but he bought enough time with that stopwatch to defend the base. And this game's still going. SK with the Infernal Soul. You'd expect them to win out on the fights, but their engages are just too preemptive. They don't have the numbers when they go for it. And then you put yourselves in situations like this where Jeskla can take over the fight. Zanzarah just wins out on 50-50. Perhaps if the shockwave came in, SK would be more favored, but Jeskla's the one cleaning up these fights, doing so much damage. And man, these fights are close. 2 hours trying to clutch it with the flash onto Zanzarah. And yes, SK won the fight in the end, but they couldn't end the game.
Love this W from downtown. Again, boom, finding the hit on the promisq. And I thought that was game, but as you called out, Jeskla holding on, that single Baron buff, kind of the difference between life and death here for the side of Astralis. Well played by Jeskla. MagiFelix also getting some work done in that fight. And Now we're at a Viktor with 3 items. We're an Ezreal who has the Frozen Heart in addition to working on the Sorelda's Grudge. He is getting scarier and scarier. Of course, if you are just watching the LEC and you haven't seen this, Frozen Heart Ezreal is a classic now. More mana, more damage, a little tankiness. Certainly doesn't hurt the champion.
Yeah, and I think the problem SK are running into is, at this point in the game, 35 minutes, 36 minutes into the game, when Astralis' carries have so many items and so much damage and so much frontline in front of them that they can use their range advantage against Kai'Sa or Orianna to poke them out of the fights. It's so hard for SK to engage or even walk up because your only frontline is Jeziz, who's getting Trundle ulted. Zanzarah is almost level 16, so Jeziz is just going to get melted. And from that point onwards, your carries can't hit if they have no frontline because they get outranged. So SK need to find a decisive engage or find a pick of some sort because Astralis have some control now. They have the Infernal Soul. There's the Equalizer.
Unless you're just trying to buy space, but it feels a little bit early. We still got 30 seconds till this Elder Dragon. Of course, might have the cooldown back up, honestly. So incredibly low this late in the game. Still only level 2 Equalizer, though, coming in from Treatz. That's going to hurt a bit in the fight to come.
Yeah, Astralis is going to push in mid-wave. Smart decision there. If that crashed into the tier 3, tier 4s, Nexus Towers 2 hours could TP in if the Elder Drake fight went on too long. So covering that, and now it's going to be a straight 5v5 for the Elder Dragon. Maybe one team wants to start it and flip it. Maybe one team wants to pull the trigger and engage, but it's all going to come down to this fight you'd expect.
Last Smite fight went in the favor of Zanzarah. Can Treatz turn it around this time? A little bit.
WhiteKnight is in a really good position here.
Looking to go over the wall, moves over, going to find the kick immediately. That's the one shot into the AD carry. That is everything that Astralis needed. They waited, they bided their time, and now maybe they can turn the fight, but the Equalizer is clean. Jenax now looking to follow, but the Coaling goes wide. Ezreal going to connect onto Jeziz in the meantime.
Astralis need to reset the fight here. They have a numbers advantage. WhiteKnight wants to TP back. Let's regen. Look at Zanzarah's HP with the Warmox. It's just going to go straight back up. Jeskla can lifesteal as well. So they should be able to get their health bars back up, which is going to hurt SK. You can see Jenax pushing in bot. Maybe he can pressure some kind of tower. No, he's going to come back over. Treatz has smite, but no flash. If he walks up too far, promisq could go on him. They need to be careful here. If Astralis get this dragon, they're just going to turn and kill them. SK need to make a decision soon.
SK don't know what they're doing. SK are lost. They decide to back off. They decide to give this one up, but that combat buff is going to be a big deal. Jezu still coming in, though. MagiFelix going to lay a little bit of damage back down, but that is a big win for the side of Astralis. The gold just about dead even now this late into the game.
Yeah, huge play from WhiteKnight on that flank. Just kicks Jezu instantly. Jezu doesn't even have time to flash or use his ultimate, and he gets instantly taken down. From this point, if WhiteKnight dies and SK can turn it and get a 1-for-1, then maybe there's a world where they can contest a 4v4. But at the point where WhiteKnight gets out and is able to TP back, it's pretty much lost.
Okay. And now we see it. Astralis have to feel good about that one, securing this major objective. No matter how few dragons you have, the execute from the Dragon Soul is always going to feel super impactful. For the next 2 minutes, they are certainly stronger in the fights. And with Baron less than 2 minutes around the corner, if they can just find any fight whatsoever, they're going to feel pretty good.
No. It's okay. It won't hurt him too much. That's just a misclick. Maybe he wants to put a ward down and he does end up clicking his Zhonya's, which would buy time in a fight and can be crucial. But he won't have it. But he has the Elder Dragon buff, so that makes up for it, right?
It's a lot of oopsies in the game, a lot of really great fights, a lot of oopsies. As the Equalizer comes down just to deny the push, just to stop Astralis from finding anything else. We'll just kind of move on, I think, Caedrel. 43 seconds left till the Baron. Of course, when the Baron comes up, there's still only about 30 seconds remaining on that Elder Dragon buff. So if Astralis want to find a fight, their window is closing as WhiteKnight remains in the darkness, hiding, waiting, looking for an opportunity just to one-shot Jezu.
Yeah, WhiteKnight's had really good positioning in the last 2-3 fights. He's always been able to kick Jezu, and now that the Rumble ult's down, Jenax ease into the wall. It does manage to flash out. Maybe if he gets hit by this, he'll die. The GA is procced.
But Gale Force as well now came out. He has no more movement tools to get out of this one, and now Astralis are just moving in. Astralis are just looking to take the fight. They've managed to lock up Jeskla for a brief moment with the Nautilus element. Zanzarah now getting pulled back. Zanzarah is so damn tanky. He just refuses to die. Now Astralis are pushing in. Astralis could be the ones who look to end this game. Treatz trying to kill the wave. He will be able to do so, but Astralis can turn right back to the Baron.
Looks like they're going to go for it. They're definitely going to get this Baron. Jenax is dead for 40 seconds. He won't be able to TP in. He lost his GA and his flash in that exchange, and he does end up falling. Zanzarah is going to regen with the Warmox. Jeskla has the red buff. Everyone on Astralis should be healthy enough for this Baron, and SK are going to have to give this one up as well, you'd expect. Maybe if Treatz wants to get the Equalizer across, but WhiteKnight's fishing for a play. He has the flash and the kick available, but I think this is gone. Maybe SK can push in waves. There's really not much SK can do. They're just going to have to give this up. There's nothing they can do on the map. They can push in mid, but that's about it. And Astralis winning back-to-back fights, getting the Elder, now getting the Baron. They're holding on, and they're definitely almost ahead, you would say, because of the amount of damage and frontline and range that they have. But SK have the Infernal Soul.
It's very true. Infernal Soul, I mean, it's going to be around. It's always going to feel impactful. But at the end of the day, one of the greatest things about Astralis' comp is that for Jezu, who popped off in a lot of these mid-game skirmishes, MagiFelix now with 3 items, little Q Viktor auto plus an E, it's very, very hard for the Kai'Sa to leap into the backline. And if you're not jumping into the backline, Ezreal is outranging you in these fights. It is very hard, I think, for SK to play these fights out cleanly.
Definitely. They have this almost quadra carry comp. Look at the damage from the True Shot Barrage. They have Lucian, Rumble, Orianna, Kai'Sa, lots of carries, but really not much frontline to stand into it. I mean, you've got Viktor Ezreal on the other side with way more range, and Zanzarah was tanking up a tower and 4 members and didn't fall. Jeziz was looking for some kind of pick there to maybe chunk out Astralis before the fight kicks off. But they're going to play on this top wave. They have 1, 2, 3 members pushing mid. Now they're going to move towards the top side. They have the Baron. Maybe they just want to group up and just use the Leona to try and zone them away. Maybe they want to use the Chaos Storm to zone away SK and just secure the inhib.
Difficult position to be in. The big lead that SK had in a lot of their individual members has now fallen away. Flies are going to come down. Hook going to go a bit wide. Zanzarah taking a lot of damage, but Locket's there. Zanzarah still very tanky.
They're going to regen. He has the Warmogs. He's just going to stay out of line of sight, stay out of damage, and his health should go back up. Jeskla can lifesteal as well, but the engage is coming in.
That's going to be a 3-man knockup. Jenax still on the backside. They're going to try to take down WhiteKnight as best as they can, but Jezu's just taking so much damage. Zanzarah running forward, zoning, buying space for his team. Astralis going to grab their second inhibitor. They've still got Baron. They've still got double cannon minions. They've got supers just about ready to come into the mid lane as Zanzarah pulls the wave.
Yeah, and SK don't have any frontline now. Jeziz is dead. Whoever steps up into this Viktor Ezreal is going to die quickly. You can see Jenax has to dash away. I don't think SK can hold on here. There's a super minion wave coming in mid. There's a wave coming in top with a cannon creep. They have the Baron for a little bit longer.
They have a shockwave. 2 hours, you're the sub. You just need to perform okay, but now all eyes are on you, and you whiff right in the moment where it matters most. Jezu going to try to fire back. Jezu getting a little bit of damage now. WhiteKnight now going to be in trouble. Jeskla leaping into the backside, but Jezu getting burned down. The flash chomp coming in from Zanzarah, making his mark, and that is game 1 for Astralis. What a finish!
Woo. I thought when that Infernal Soul went down, they pretty much had the game.
Oh, I forgot. Zanzarah had a broken hand. We were supposed to talk about that.
Oh, he has a broken hand, does he? Okay, well, he was playing with one hand there, and he still managed to take the win. He's happy about that one, but once that Infernal Soul fell, it looked like SK with the gold lead, with the tempo, with that soul should win fights, but really good kicks from WhiteKnight. Secured Jezu 2 times. They got the Elder, they got the Baron from back-to-back fights, and from that point, they just pushed in.
And Caedrel, that game was rife with individual mistakes. The good news for Astralis is they won. They don't have to feel bad about it. The struggle, the difficulty for SK is that they don't get to win. They don't get to walk away with that win. Of course, Astralis, though, it's a time for celebration. They managed to turn it back. They managed to find their first win. Kia player of the game at LEC on Twitter. WhiteKnight, MagiFelix, Jeskla.
Oh, you got to give it to WhiteKnight. You got to.
Right? So I was going to wait to see what you said, but yeah, it's 100% WhiteKnight.
Jeskla was probably doing the most damage in the game alongside MagiFelix, right? But WhiteKnight was the one setting up the fights, and he's the one that got them back in the game.
Absolutely did. A lot of crazy team fights turned around. It's the start of that game felt so, in the middle of that game especially, felt so SK favored, but just a few incredible fights coming in from the side of Astralis, a few flanks, a few missed positions from the side of SK, and everything showing up in their favor.
And that might hurt SK longer down the line as the summer season goes on. I mean, not having blue there, maybe that could have helped them get that win, but losing against Astralis is going to hurt them for the playoffs race later on in the split.
Certainly is. Of course, Rogue were 1 win away from becoming LEC champions in spring, and in Game 3, the stage is set for their return versus XFL Esports and the Duck.
La 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 la.
We'll start off with this one.
The summer season?
What about this one?
Summer season. Summer season.
How about this one?
That's a Beko fridge.
It's a Beko fridge. Oh, it is a Beko fridge. Okay. And this one?
Summer season.
You're suffering from a simple case of LEC deficiency. Now what I'm going to do is prescribe you a healthy dose of LEC Summer Season, about twice a week or so.
welcome back to the LEC Astralis Fine, the first win here on the first day of the LEC Super Week. And for this interview, I give you the taxman himself, Zanzarah. Nice to see you again. That was a cool game for me.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, it was fun game, was fun.
It was a fun game, but it was a close game also. I mean, they were at your doorstep. They had a goal lead, they had tower advantage, and it only took you the Elder Drake fight to get back on track. But how did you get there?
No, game was under control from the start till the end.
Oh,
We
okay.
just tried to experiment a little bit because, of course, I'm playing jungle, but I have like playing versus double support. It's one game, right? I don't understand why SK choose to play with two support instead of junglers, but still, in my head, it was one. As soon as I picked Trundle, the game is won. So we just need to keep it like a little bit interesting, because nobody wants a 15 minutes game stomp, right? So we give them soul, give them like free nash, so just like they can like feel like maybe they can win this game, But then in the end we're like, pillar, and that.
All right. Yeah, everything under control. You just had to give them hope, actually. They made the roster changes.
Yep.
They needed to feel comfortable on this first week of the LEC. But I want to know more about, because you mentioned the jungle swap. So as the jungler, the taxman, what's your take on this roster swap and jungle changes in the LEC? Treatz and Bwipo.
I think we clearly see what jungle is completely useless. So everyone can just roll swap from every role to jungle and be fine with that. So I think Riot Games, especially, buff jungle. Please, buff jungle so we can stop suffering. Because everyone rerolling to jungle. This is painful.
Yeah, but we had jungle changes recently, actually, Zanzarah. That's also why we saw all the AP showing up in the jungle. Is it something you like, actually?
Yeah, I respect. I can play Trundle. I mean, okay, I don't respect what my Skarner got destroyed by just because they want to nerf Udyr, so they destroy my Skarner. Not good. No, zero respect, zero. But on the other hand, I can play Trundle right now. So there is some minuses, some pluses, but at the end, Zanza will adapt for sure.
It will adapt, and maybe Skarner will come back eventually, but I'm sure you have some pocket picks outside of Trundle here that we will see in the later weeks of the LEC. Last question for you, Zanzarah. We finished spring on a sadder note, I feel, for Astralis, but you're one of the few lineups who didn't change any players from spring to summer. So tell me about the work you've been doing during this off-season and how you want to continue on the stability that you started building in spring.
Yeah, I think overall, as a team, we don't think you can understand how good or bad player in one split. So you at least need a year. And I think right now we already start from higher than teams who make changes. So I think for us right now, we are from the start just working on macro game, and we already have understand each other pretty good. So I think this was important, and I think this was the main reason why we just keep the roster, because I think Astralis as a team and the team coaches, everyone believe what this roster can make playoffs.
All right, well, that's very good to hear. And Zanzarah, thank you so much for a fun interview as always, and good luck for the rest of Super Week.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and we're going to take a break now. In a couple minutes, we'll be back with Rogue versus Excel and Nukeduck back on the mid lane.